Alright then, here we are with the final game of the day. It's my Blood Angels versus Jimmy's Demons. He's using a Fate Crusher list. I've just one roll off and given Jimmy the first turn, and he's elected to use the bottom of the screen, so I'm just moving all my stuff to the top of the screen. Now, your usual game against demons into the vision, particularly with a mech-based list, is not that difficult. Demons have issues breaking armor. They're obviously very good in combat and have quite a few monstrous creatures. Here we are just making sure terrain's all even. My army has the slight issue of not liking monstrous creatures or people that are good in combat. It is a short-ranged army, and that's where the majority of my firepower comes from. As we've discussed before, armies like this can find themselves at great annoyance against lists like demons with lots of monstrous creatures, Tyranids, Elfzilla, Chaoszilla, anything like that, because if they don't kill their target, they get smacked back pretty hard. I still have an advantage here in having lots of vehicles that he's going to find difficult. He's got no shooting at all except for Fate Weaver, so it's all about making sure I maximize my movement. But of course, I decided to deploy in a very silly spot. Jimmy's basically took the bottom side to give me the top side. As you can see, where my body is covering at the moment, there's ruins, and to the left of my head is another ruins. Both those ruins have minimal windows and cannot be shot through. So if I deploy around there, which you will see me do shortly, I can't use my mobility because I need to use my mobility to get line of sight. What I should have done is, if you'll see in the top right corner, there's my dice and my camera dice bag. There's no terrain there at all. The only place Jimmy could have deployed in a decent area would have been the ruins off-center to the right. It still blocks a bit of line of sight, but that's putting him quite a distance away from my army. I wasn't really thinking during deployment. The main thing that was running through my head was do not get bottled up and make sure you use your mobility. Not thinking at all about line of sight for shooting and where Jimmy was going to deep strike. And the obvious location with me deploying here to deep strike is the crater in the off-center to the left. I have very little line of sight, particularly from the right-hand side of my deployment where my attack bikes and one of my predators is and the scouts, and that's where Jimmy ends up deploying. Dreadnought is going in the middle at the moment of the ruins in the back. He wants to get into combat with Blood Crushers as soon as he can. Blood Crushers are going to rip a hole through any of my guys that get into combat with him. Even Mephiston doesn't really want to go toe-to-toe with him. They're going to wound him quite reliably. He doesn't have an invulnerable save. Dreadnought, though, only one guy can damage him with rending, and that's unlikely. You're going to need a 6 to pen and then a 3+ after that, and then you still need a 5+ to destroy it. He doesn't want to get into combat with MCs, obviously, as they kind of ignore his AV-12, and everything else I need to be able to alpha strike the MCs, particularly Fate Weaver. Fate Weaver, apparently in a couple games beforehand, was completely ignored while people were shooting at his Blood Crushers and monstrous creatures. Not sure what the point of that is, because Fate Weaver is one of the weaker targets, being only toughness 5, and every wound that he fails obviously has to take a leadership test. But the buff that he provides to everyone else, shooting at everyone else when you can shoot at him, is pretty pointless. Here we are just fooling around with the camera, waiting for Jimmy to do his deep strike rolls. Goes with Fate Weaver first. Is fiddling around where he wants to deploy and gets a hit, so now he can deploy the rest of his army around there. Blood Crushers go next. He's just explaining which model's what. He's got Fury, which is rending, Instrument, and Icon. They scatter 7 inches towards me. Here I am being a dickhead with my Razorback, and then a pain in the ass with measuring the 1 inch. There's plenty of room there for them. Putting the trees back on the terrain. Rolling dangerous tests. None of them get a 1. They've got 2 wounds as well, so it's not a big issue if they get those ones up. Bloodthirster, I'm admiring the model at the moment, telling him to use the tape measure as the model. He deploys in the same area they wanted the blood crushers to land, and goes straight towards me. That's still a pretty good spot for him because that ruins there has no line of sight through it, so I can't see him. Here we are being dickheads on the camera again, and then the fiends come in and scatter straight towards the blood crushers again. Jimmy's getting annoyed that I keep measuring for him, get a mishap, and goes to delayed. That's a big boon for me, because now I've got 1 less unit to deal with. And Slaneshi Prince lands bang on target. Now Jimmy does his running to get everyone back into Fate Weaver. Nice run for the Blood Crushers. As long as Fate Weaver doesn't get a very low roll, he'll be well within. And he's waiting on Bloodthirster at the moment. Bloodthirster gets a 1, and he moves him closer to the rune wall to make it even more difficult to get line of sight to him. Could have run him back towards Fate Weaver to get the 6-inch reroll bubble, but the position that he puts him now makes it very difficult for me to get to him. So at this point in time, I'm kicking myself quite a bit. Just taking a few photos. So the main thing for me is to get that Dreadnought into combat with Blood Crushers. And I need to kill the Bloodthirster. The Bloodthirster is outside of the 6-inch aura from Fate Weaver, so he's only got 4 wounds with a 3+ and a 4++. My firepower should be able to take him down, but it's nip and tuck. The averages might say he can do it, but we all know what averages are like. Just checking out at my LOS predicament at the moment. Bobbing my bald spot back and in. Again, if I deployed in that top right corner, I'd have had a lot more options here. We're doing dangerous terrain rolls there. There is 1 inch between all those models. Then Dreadnought comes along. Checking the measurement. Razorback and Predator move. Predator's trying to get line of sight to Bloodthirster. 1 las cannon's going to be out. Fiddling with trees. Going back over there and looking at my oh so lovely whatever's happening. Razorback comes and out pops some Assault Marines, and this is what part of the problem with this list is, since I only have heavy flamers on the top of my Razorbacks. I need to get guys out to make sure that I can kill things, which obviously puts them in a position where they can get assaulted back. Just making sure the front squad is lapping over the back squad so he can't multi-assault and get 2 kill points in 1 fell swoop. The battle, by the way, is kill points with primary and table quarters as secondary. Bit of advantage to Jimmy when he's got 10 kill points to my 18 kill points, and all of my kill points are relatively easy to get. Just moving about the checking line of sight for the Predator. Too few discussions on what we're classifying as the wings. In the end, happy where that is, but obviously the scouts can't say diddly. Now we get the attack bikes trying to slot themselves in to get line of sight to him as well. And final attack bikes. Just thinking of where to move them at the moment. Moving them there because they're not going to get line of sight, and that's the whole issue of what I've done in my deployment. The Fiston hops over. It's not going to go assault the Bloodthirster because the Bloodthirster has a Collar of Corn, which gives him a 2++. Now we're doing shooting. Miss passes the one save he does take. Fails on a Flamer. Takes one more wound from a Melta. Passes that one. Passes those two. And that was my shooting basically. All I managed to do is 2 wounds, a lot of misses there, average shaving. And then, unfortunately, what I have not done here is block movement from the Bloodthirster to my Dreadnought. So, Dreadnought goes into the Bloodthirsters, doesn't do any damage. Jimmy comes back, gets a 6, gets a pen, and gets a 2. So, unlucky for him there. Taking a few photos. Bloodthirsters wrap around in. Yes, as you can see behind, there's plenty of space for the Bloodthirster to get into combat with that Dreadnought. Rolling for reserves. And the only thing that comes in is the Nurgle Prince and some Fiends. They're going to use the icon on the Blood Crushers and land in the left side there near the between Fate Weaver and the Blood Crushers, and that's again going to put me at a predicament in actually shooting them and getting to them. Obviously we've got quite a big roadblock going in the middle there with all my vehicles surrounding the Bloodthirster, and lots of kill points available for Jimmy to take at the moment. Fiends land, Prince lands, that Prince is Nurgle Prince, so toughness 6. Just moving the Slaaneshi Prince at the moment. He's going to go play with one of the tanks during the assault phase. Fate Weaver moves up as well, just making sure everything's in range. Same time, that is exposing Fate Weaver a bit. He could have been kept probably behind where the Slaaneshi Prince is at the moment, and that would have given him a lot more defensive capabilities next turn. Now, Jimmy's just deciding what he wants to do with this Bloodthirster, and rather than going for the Dreadnought, he's going for one of the easy kill points right in front of him, sorry. Well, that's obviously going to be an easy kill point for him. It leaves his Blood Crushers tied up with the Dreadnought, so Fate Weaver is just slamming things into a tank at the moment, and wrecks it. So that's 1 kill point to Jimmy. Takes the pinning, they're all good. And I've just remembered Red Thirst, so do all those rolls quickly now and I don't get anything. I always forget Red Thirst until something pops out and I remember pinning. Should do a cheat sheet for that. Just making sure they're all within 2 inches of the rear hatch. Prince and Fiends do some running. Slaaneshi Prince tries on the tank. Bloodthirster on the squad of 5. Bloodthirster kills them all. So that's another kill point to Jimmy. He does a 1-inch consolidate. And so here we can see the guys getting out the back have now blocked the Bloodthirster's movement. But if he'd put his Bloodthirster there, they would have had to come out where the Bloodthirster is now. So Jimmy was saying later that he couldn't actually get there because they were destroyed. They were blocking his movement in, but they were there only after the movement phase. So the Bloodthirster could indeed have gotten to the Dreadnought, which would have freed those guys up a lot. Jimmy just moves the Blood Crushers after some combat rolls again, getting them at the back. And here's the beginning of my supposedly, quote, 45-minute unquote turn. It's only 23 minutes, which is still far too long, but I'm in a very big predicament in the moment, and the only option I really have is to go all out, If I don't, I'm down on kill points. There's still going to be some kill points that are left there for him to munch on while he follows me across the board. And if I don't really kill Fate Weaver this turn, it's going to go downhill. Obviously, there's 4 monstrous creatures at the moment, and just being able to drop 2 of them would be very, very helpful. Obviously, Bloodthirsters and Fate Weaver are the 2 that I'm looking at to stop. So just thinking on how I need to do that. So here we go with the Marines. Now we get Waddly Model Syndrome. So they're going on the wreck, and they're getting as many melters within range of Fate Weaver as possible. Dangerous checks are all good. Next Marines near the Bloodthirster. I roll pretty poorly on my terrain, only 3 inches, so I'm unlikely to get into range, and I want to try and avoid getting on that wreck of a rhino there, which the Slaneshi Prince destroyed in the combat phase. So big ass wings of the Bloodthirster getting in the way, as is my really big pointy staff for that model, so I take his arm off. And turn the Bloodthirster back around, hit a few of my models. So now we're checking line of sight and making sure the Predator can see. We want him to see Fate Weaver and a couple other things in case Fate Weaver drops. Bit more thinking, dangerous terrain. This guy goes back around there. And I'll end up moving him again. Put him on top of the Razorback and move that Razorback there, so I get a Razorback stack. And that Razorback barely fits under there. And we disembark the guy. We don't disembark them, but the guys are now disembarked in those ruins between the Razorback and that little corner, so they can see Fate Weaver just. Attack bike's now moving up some more, and I don't think if we actually checked this, but I'm pretty sure the Razorback stack at the moment is blocking line of sight to the Predator Fate Weaver. Won't matter in the end as the Predator gets to shoot something else, but that could have been a big screw up. Now we're just moving the Razorback through. We want to be able to put a template down on a couple things and nick Fate Weaver there as well. And there's boxcars for Fate Weaver. So Fate Weaver's gone, and now the game really opens up. So now I start playing very quickly, because obviously I've gone through all my thinking phase. Attack bikes drop the Bloodthirster from his 2 wounds. Start adding a few more wounds to the Nurgle Prince. The Heavy Flamers start adding their toll on the Fiends and the Nurgle Prince. Predators start shooting. And Mephiston's moved up as well. I forgot to say this at the beginning. Mephiston has launched himself to land on the middle Razorback wreck. So he was in range of all 4 MC, so he got to pick which one he wanted to kill. Firepower drops the final Nurgle wounds off the Nurgle Prince. Do a few more shots from the Scouts and the Predator and the Fiends. Nothing happens. Mephiston fleets off the wreck, so he doesn't need to take another dangerous roll. Charges into the Slaneshi Prince, who survives with 1 wound. Does a couple hits back, and does 2 wounds to Mephiston. Fearless saves, and then Jimmy tries against the Dreadnought and gets another rend and pin, but only shakes him again. He did that pretty consistently for a while. So all of Jimmy's reserves now come in, and Jimmy was very unlucky for that to happen. So first squad that shot killed Fate Weaver. So he's only got 3 wounds. He's got a 3++ with rerolls. So every shot that hits him is a 1 in 9 chance to do a wound, and then you've got your 1 in 6 chance for him to fail his leadership 9. That's a 1 in 54 chance. Happened on the first shot. With all the firepower that I did have aiming at him, it was likely that he was going to die, but failing at that point opened up the rest of my army to kill everything else that I needed to, which I did. So second unit of Fiends, mishaps. Good spot to put them, I think, because it would have bottled me up a bit more, but he needed to put them within 6 inches of the icon. Demonettes do get put within 6 inches of the icon back in another corner, and if the Fiends had stayed there, that would have really bottled me up in that area. I mean, it's not over yet, particularly if he can get those Blood Crushers to kill that Dreadnought. So the Fiends now are assaulting Mephiston and the tanks. Not really sure why he didn't go for the Marines as well to get some combat resolution going and get that extra kill point. Demonettes run. We do some attacks. Mephiston kills the Demon Prince. Dangerous wounds on the Fiends killed one, because one was already on a wound and that one died. Now we're doing wounds on Mephiston, and he passed them all. Then the Might on the Razorback took off the weapon. And that was the end of Jimmy's turn 3. So now it's still 4-3 kill points my way. Dreadnought still alive. And really at this point it's game over, assuming the Blood Crushers don't kill the Dreadnought. The Blood Crushers kill the Dreadnought, and obviously the sooner the better. They're still going to be difficult for me to deal with. Obviously easier without Fate Weaver, but particularly if they kill the Dreadnought in my turn, they're going to be able to get quite a few easy kill points. So just move the Razorback off the other Razorback. This Razorback goes up this way. The Plague Bearers are in the back left and back right corners. Not really sure why I did that Razorback up there. There was no point to it. It also gives the Plague Bearers a chance to kill it, as unlikely as it is. So I've set up all my shooting on the Demonites in the top left to get rid of them, and brought in a few more Marines to help out Mephiston in the center against the Fiends. Just dropping several templates on the Demonettes, and now shooting with the attack bikes. Getting in a few hits. They're being taken off quite steadily, even with 4+ cover. Now shooting some of the Plague Bearers. We find a blast template, hits, does some damage, all wounds pass, doesn't matter. Now we're doing Assault Marines into Demonettes. Everything else in the center, there's 9 Assault Marines there, but 1 dies to dangerous terrain. Into the Fiends. The squad of 3 do not have Feel No Pain and Furious Charge. Mephiston goes and takes out a few of the Fiends first, and here we get some webcam wiggling movement, which kind of makes everything more difficult to see while it's moving. But we've got a zoomed in view now, so Fiends just allocating their attacks, and I think 1 goes on Mephiston and then 2 go on the small squad. And one of the small squad guys dies, and the rest of the Assault Marines now attack back on the Fiends and end up killing them. Just rolling saves now. So we get consolidate moves, Mephiston moves back. There's only 1 Assault Marine left from 1 squad, and he hides. The other Assault squad protects him. Now over on the left for Demonettes, and I've got initiative 5, but the Demonettes have initiative 6, but didn't do any damage beforehand. Now it's just doing saves, and they all die. So there's another 2 kill points for me, so 6-3, and on to turn 4. My guys consolidate behind my Razorback, and the other Fiends come in. These are the Fiends that have mishapped twice. They've both been delayed, and this time they land bang on target. And if those Fiends had come down turn 1, even turn 2, and not mishap, that would have been another threat that I had to deal with, which was a significant threat. The Demonites were less of a threat, and particularly if the Blood Crushers were free, even though Fate Weaver dropped, because I had limited myself so much in terms of mobility options and being engaged so early. There were going to be issues there in dealing with those, but since I was able to tie up the Blood Crushers, combined with the mishaps with the Fiends and getting Fate Weaver early, it was looking pretty good. Plague Bearers here just going against the Razorback, don't do anything. So back to my turn, moving everything up now to engage the Fiends basically. The bike's turbo boost into the quarter, And there we are giggling because I lost a base. Thought I didn't, but I found it. Here now we're telling Jimmy that he should have assaulted the Dreadnought with a Bloodthirster. Everyone else is moving here. Mephiston jumps over. Other Marine runs away to preserve kill point. Does a run move, which we allow during the shooting phase. Other Razorback comes over for another flame template. Other Razorback moves away so he doesn't get hit. And now we start dropping some dice on the Fiend. So first of all, we're getting out another squad because extra firepower never hurts. Now we start dropping some dice on the Fiends. So Flamer templates are again coming quite in handy, being able to get 4 or 5 hits on the squads. So that's already 3 of the Fiends gone just from Flame templates and the Predator. Mephiston fleets to make sure he's in range. Some more Melta shots gets rid of a couple more. Doing shots over there again on the Plague Bearers, which do nothing. And then the Marines, which were not in the transport, and Mephiston assault. And Mephiston kills 1. The other guy goes at the squad, takes the guy out, and combat. It's not drawn because the Assault Marines still have a chance. And they kill the Fiend. So everything's consolidating at the moment. And again, even though it's now, I think, 7-3 on kill points, those Blood Crushers could still do a number. And I think they weapon destroy and immobilize him there. I think it's actually just immobilized. Weapon destroyed was the game before. Plague Bearers now come up and assault some Assault Marines, and I don't do any damage, so he automatically wins combat because of instrument. I lose 1 guy, pass my leadership, so all good. Actually, I lose more than 1 guy. But yeah, they stayed in combat. Everyone's couple tables are being packed up at the moment, so terrain's just being put on ours. I've filled it with the attack bikes, but we'll move them later on with Jimmy's consent because I forgot I should be shooting things, even though at this point it's moot. Just moving everything away from the Blood Crushers to make sure if they do break out that I'm not going to get smacked with a 5 kill point deficit. So shooting some Plague Bearers, there I go, twiddling the attack bikes. Jimmy laughs, do a few more damage, and Plague Bearers are down to 2. Everyone assaults into the Plague Bearers on the left, and Mephiston basically kills them all. So we get some consolidate moves. Actually, no, Mephiston doesn't kill them. There's 1 left who survives. Recall, yep. And then everyone piles in. Blood Crushers destroy the Dreadnought. So now we're talking here about what the Blood Crushers could be doing, and they very likely could get 2 or 3 kill